Oh, hey, Alice. Fancy seeing you here. Welcome back. We got Jasmin. We got Neef. And Phil's around here somewhere, too.
Yo.
We're here tonight because there's an ongoing issue in the Middle East and specifically Iran as well. That is escalating as of late over the last month and a half, I guess. So do you want to kind of tell Alice who Mahsa Amini is and what's happened?
Yeah. Thanks for listening, Alice. So Mahsa Amini, Gina Amini was her Kurdish name. She was a Kurdish Iranian who was visiting Tehran, the capital of Iran. She was in the car with her family, and they get pulled over by the morality police. The morality police basically are like a group of guys who are given a piece of paper by the government saying that they can go around and enforce Sharia law. So Iran is a theocracy. It's one of two theocracies in the whole world, the other one being the Vatican. Theocracy means religion is the law. So the Vatican, Catholicism. In Iran, it's Islam. And obviously, they have a weird, sick and twisted version of Islam that they use to make their laws. So it's illegal for women to show their hair because Islam makes women cover their hair. It's a modesty thing, so they say. But in this case, it's used as an oppression thing. It's used to keep women down, and there's all sorts of sexist laws in Iran. So women have to go to the court to get a divorce, but men can just declare divorce. If a man just declares, we're divorced now, even if the woman's not even there. Wow. Men get custody of their children 100%. Women usually don't get custody. If their mom is dead, it usually goes to the husband. If the husband's dead, it goes to the husband's brother or grandfather.
Wow.
Women can't ride bicycles in Iran because that means you're bent over, and it's improper for women to, be improper like that. Women can't go to soccer games because the men are vulgar, and it would be impure for the women to hear those vulgarities. So women are not allowed into soccer stadiums. And women can't sing, which is just really sad for me especially. I'm very lucky that I was not born there, because I would be in jail for this, which is what happened to Mahsa Amini. They pulled her over in the car, and her hijab was not as tight as they wanted it to be. It's not even that she wasn't wearing one. It wasn't tight enough on her head. She had a couple strands of hair showing. So the morality police ripped her out of her family's car, took her back to the police station. During that time, they beat her skull so much so that when she got to the police station, she fainted and went into a coma and died 2 days later. Her ears were bleeding, her skull was fractured, her nose is completely gone, for showing her hair. And so this has been going on in Iran for the past 43 years, ever since the revolution, the Islamic Revolution. And the people are fucking sick of it. The people have been sick of it this whole time. Even when the revolution happened and the Muslims came to power, there were women on the streets protesting then. And every time there's a protest, they quell the protest by killing people, shooting them. And so for the past 4 weeks or so, they've been protesting because of this, and more women have died. But this protest feels kind of different because for the first time, women are at the forefront of this protest. Women aren't afraid, and the men aren't afraid. They're they've basically come to the point where it's like, what life is worth living if this is life? So.
And we see there's a lot of men getting involved in that as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's not just an Iranian thing. It's not just a woman's rights thing. It's also because Gina was Kurdish, and so the Kurds are often oppressed in Iran. Any minority group, so like Jews, Christians, Baha'is, Zoroastrians, the Kurds, the Afghans, the Armenians, like, they're all oppressed. And so the Kurdish people have been hit really, really hard. The people in the south of Iran have been hit really hard. And Afghanistan, Iran's neighbor, recently the whole Taliban thing happened where we pulled out of Afghanistan and basically handed it over to the Taliban. And since then, women haven't been able to go to school because the Taliban doesn't believe that women should be educated. Because what is education? It's power. So the women of Afghanistan have been protesting too. They've joined in this protest too. And it's this thing that hasn't stopped yet, despite the regime's best efforts. And they are trying very hard. They're shooting people, and then the Iranian police are like, no, we're not going to shoot our own people. And so they shipped in Hezbollah forces from Lebanon and Syria to come and shoot their own people because they're the biggest funders of Hezbollah and Hamas and a lot of these terrorist groups in the Middle East that are founded in radical Islam. So it's a regime that needs to fucking end because it's evil.
the
First time people have hope.
Yeah, the older I'm getting, the less tolerant I am of, like, some ideas are better than others, and some ideas should not be perpetrated at all.
No, religion has no place in law, period.
No, it shows a lot to be said with a couple of things in reflection to us here in the West. That, for one thing, we don't hear anything about this. I've heard very little. I've had to look it up to even find it. Nothing on any news feed. I think other than you, and I think one other, a reggae artist on Instagram posted something about it, and other than that, it's just no mainstream media coverage on it. You can find reports done by the mainstream, but you got to look at them, and none of what you've been telling me in the details did I see in any of that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's so very...
Why do you guys think that is? Why do you think we don't hear about all this? When we hear about other conflicts going on right now in other countries?
I think, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think one of the things is the conflicts that we do hear about don't involve the same type of impoverished people. And the comparison with us as citizens to what we hear about is very easy for us to pick sides in that. Or it's harder for us to pick the side of, say, Russia and Ukraine. There's people that can argue with that and say we shouldn't involve ourselves in that because, well, it could be argued that, that's, who knows. We're talking about giving us the information of people who truly are a real oppression. Talking about riots that they're literally shooting, their own civilians.
Yeah.
And here we're up in arms just because somebody pulled up and told you to, get off the sidewalk with your sign. That's a big deal to us. But,
there's a kind of a double standard, huh? Where it comes to, like, you have people that are very loud about rights in America.
Right.
But also preach about religious equality.
Uh-huh.
And are tolerant of what happens in the Middle East.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are afraid of being called Islamophobic. But I think the bigger reason is our media is owned by the government. And our government is owned by special interests, and the media also is owned by special interests.
Right.
And what's one of the big ones? Oil. Saudi Arabia is where we get a lot of our oil from. There's a lot of reasons why people wouldn't want us to know about it.
Unfortunately, it goes back to the same old song and dance they've always given us by not telling us. Because, don't pay attention to that because the whole idea, why aren't we intervening? Well, we're pretty much, as a military and a government, we're intervening in everything you see going on.
Right. But in this case, we're not really intervening
Right.
on
We're
behalf
not.
of the people of Iran, quite clearly.
Right, and they don't want to.
It's the silence is very loud when
Right.
it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad because the U.S. has done a lot of fucked up shit internationally. Like, part of the reason Iran is the way it is now is because the U.S. was intervening because of oil. The U.S. and Britain were sucking Iran dry from oil. And that's why, part of the reason why there was unrest to begin with for a revolution to happen. And it's probably the same thing now, oil. But it's like, if the government really wanted to, if the U.S. government really wanted to bring democracy to the Middle East, like, we definitely could have done that by now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and what
handing
blows my
over
mind is-
Afghanistan to the Taliban is just
Yeah.
despicable.
What blows my mind is how many, people I see over here that are so quick to be active and to, jump on spreading a story and finding out about something. And a lot of people are so silent about this. It's just baffling because...
I think there's definitely been a push for people to, like, normalize the hijab here in America. And I'm not sure, who's funding that push. But, like, there definitely it has been, like... I don't think anything's wrong with the hijab inherently. Like, if you want to wear a hijab, I really don't give a fuck. But for...
As long as that's your choice to do so.
Exactly.
Yeah,
for so many millions of women in the Middle East, it's not a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for them, it is a tool of oppression.
The level of oppression we're talking about, too, is just... it's hard to even conceptualize here.
Yeah.
You can't even really...
It's
you
so
cannot
gross.
even really put yourself in their shoes.
It's so insidious.
We get worried. We're so worried about what we're told we can't do. There's very little that we're ever told that we have to do.
Yeah.
We have to go, get our license renewed.
And that's not to say that things here couldn't be a lot better, right?
Right.
But there is way worse things going on in the world.
Right.
There are things that have to be stopped. It has to stop.
It's really disgusting, like, the reasonings that they use for these things. Like, the reason women have to cover their hair, according to the Iranian government, is because men's eyes are impure. So you have to hide yourself from men's impure eyes. So why are women the ones who are forced to cover themselves? Why aren't the men punished for having impure eyes?
Because it's a patriarchal system, really.
It is the definition of a patriarchal system. Yeah. There was a fucking cleric, a religious leader, who went up and said, God created women as animals for men to use. Women are just like cows and sheep for men to use. And that's literally what these government leaders are saying. That is the logic that informs these laws. And I really don't care if you want to practice Islam. Like, I don't give a shit. But that's not okay.
Right.
Yeah. It's not okay anywhere in the world for anyone to do that to anybody. Like, and it doesn't matter. Like, honestly, fuck your culture. Yeah. Fuck your culture if that's what your culture is.
Right. Yeah. That culture does not deserve respect.
On the severe, extremely severe end of Sharia law, I know in some areas, I assume this still happens, they'll actually cut off the clitoris, or like just cut the clit like just a little bit or something.
Yeah, in Africa they do that a lot.
Mm-hmm. And it's like,
what's crazy to me is if this was a Christian country doing this shit, all these fucking lefties would be up in arms.
Yeah.
No one would tolerate that.
That's what's driving me up the wall is that I hear none of the feminists I know here discussing anything about it.
Nope.
None of the loudest drum banging people I know.
Where are the atheists?
Yeah, I've heard none of them.
Mm-hmm.
The people who love to dog Christians for weirdness or dog, every other religion they can think of. I don't hear them saying a thing about
I do hear an argument which is silly, and I don't really think people think this, but it's like, well, we can't speak. Well, it's kind of like the head in the sand South Park episode. Like, everyone stick your head in the sand when they air that. Have you guys seen the episode of South Park where they're making fun of Family Guy? And it's like Family Guy is going to air an episode where they show the Prophet Muhammad.
Right.
Oh.
And so in solidarity, to show that they're not racist, everyone is going to stick their head in the sand to show that they weren't watching this episode of Family Guy.
Right.
And there was a point to that.
It's basically the same type of thing.
Yes, it's the same thing.
By their logic, by being passive, and I didn't know about it, they're not supporting it, but these are the same people who will tell you when all of these other crazy rights that they think they don't have or getting taken away from them, when they come at you about that and you tell them, look, that's not on me, and they're like, well, being passive is just the same as being compliant. And I don't see that with them on this issue.
The Iranian women are literally begging for the world to listen because the government of Iran has cut off internet access.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really hard for them to get their videos out to even know what's going on.
Also, as far as I understand, you can't send money as relief because of U.S. sanctions.
Which I think are a good thing. I don't think we should lift sanctions because if we lift the sanctions, the government gets more money and they're just going to use that against the people.
And sending stuff there, I mean, their mail's obviously going to be
that's a good point. Is the problem is the government, so you don't want to give the government more money.
No, we should not. What the fuck happened to we don't negotiate with terrorists? Why are we all of a sudden friends with the fucking Taliban? Like,
I've been
when the
wondering
fuck did that
I've been
become
wondering that
okay?
since the 90s. You know, I mean, that's just like, when did we start purchasing goods from countries that have sweatshops and treat their
Can
people
thank Bill Clinton for that one.
Yep, I've said it many times.
Yep. There's like so much. These are also the same people that will preach about religious equality. These are also the same people that like they do that's the great thing is they do all the things they accuse people of. It's like how you can figure out what the powers are up to is what they point the finger at.
So the Iranian government at the beginning of all of this, they tried to say that Mahsa Amini, the girl who died, was a Zionist plot.
So that the whole story was fabricated by Zionists?
Yeah, to try to take down Iran.
Oh, so they tried to act like it didn't happen.
They tried to act like it didn't happen. So many girls were shot at when protesting without their hair. And this one girl, Serena Esminozadeh, she died like a month before her 17th birthday. She went out to protest and she didn't come back, and her parents received her body like days later with like her shit all fractured and all her shit fucked up, and they tried to say something and then they silenced them, and then at the funeral when they were burying her, people were protesting and they came and like shot at them while they were protesting at their daughter's fucking funeral because they don't want people to talk about it because voices are powerful. I don't know if you heard that artist.
The thing you shared?
Shervin. He made a song with the tweets of Iranians saying why they're protesting. The reasons are so that I can dance in the street, so that I can hold hands with my lover. I'm protesting for my sisters. Literally, those are the words that he said. He didn't, directly mention, because music and everything is censored in Iran. It's like China. You can't put out music that's not approved by the government.
Right.
So he put this song out, and he's in Iran. It went viral. It went huge. And so then they arrested him, obviously, because now he's corrupt and conspiring against the government.
Think about that for a minute, Alice. Music, all music being censored by the government, and we get worried about what a comedian might say on the stage.
Yeah, it's censored by the government, not just like China where it's for the state, but it's also the added fanatic Islam on top of it. So if you're saying anything that's, against Islam, then that's also not allowed.
And just like that, like in China, things that are very pro-government or pro-whatever are propagated by the government. So all the hit songs are praising.
So
Yeah.
what can we do to help? What can Alice do to help?
Spreading the word as much as possible. This is one instance where I think posting on social media is not just performative activism. I think by sharing what's happening, more people need to know about it, more people should know about it, and maybe something can change because of it. Because right
Maybe
now,
like you can force their hand or something, like make them
they're
bend
trying
their
to
arm
keep
to
it
make
quiet.
them.
And more people here know and bring it up to legislation here and
Yeah,
representatives
I've been
here.
calling my representatives and senators. I've been saying no negotiating with Iran, no Iran deal. Obviously, everybody has their own opinion about that, but that's what I think would be good. It's very hard because Iranians everywhere are so divided still. So when the revolution happened, like, everybody kind of fled. Anyone who could left.
Right.
And people still do go back and forth, but if you were to say something while you're in America and then you were to go back, they would probably arrest you as soon as you get there. So a lot of people are afraid to speak about it. But there's a lot of people who, are trying to downplay the protests by saying, like, you shouldn't burn hijabs, it's not about Islam. When it is about Islam.
It's 100%
The
about
government
Islam.
that is corrupt is an Islamic government. And obviously not everybody who's Muslim believes in that shit and does that shit. But this specific instance, it is about Islam, and it is there are ideas there that are worth criticizing, and that's not to disparage anyone for their religion, but like this stuff deserves disparaging.
Yeah.
When you put bad ideas or ideas as such into action, that's when it becomes a problem. You can believe what you want, but when you start killing people over it and forcing people to do things, that's putting a belief into action, and there's no place for that.
And so, like, to parallel it to Christianity, it's like you have progressive Muslims that's like, okay, well, I'm not going to live by that.
Right.
I'm going to take the good parts of this and what I find useful out of this and live by that. And there's a lot of beautiful stuff in the Quran. Like, you can learn a lot from that. But to compare it to Christianity, it would be like living as an Israelite.
It says in the Bible,
It's like we would
if
have
your
zero
wife
tolerance for that.
mixes cotton and wool, you can stone her to death.
Yeah.
That'd be like us doing that right now.
Yeah.
It'd be like living by some of the Torah.
And it's like Christians and modern Jews, they're progressive. They don't do a lot of that shit. But if they did, we would have exactly as little tolerance for it as we do for radical Islam.
And a lot of people here have very little tolerance for what Christians and some of the Jews here do.
Sure.
Now, and even not even radical beliefs, just whatever their simple beliefs are. There's people here that can barely tolerate that and think that that's over the top, yet they're completely silent about this.
Yep. Yeah, it's a double standard completely.
I'm definitely biased because my family's a minority in Iran. We're Jewish. We're not Muslim. And so, to me, Islam is the religion of the colonizers. And as it is for much of the Middle East. Iran was Zoroastrian before Islam.
What is that?
Zoroastrianism is like the
Zoroastrianism. Yeah. Okay, so I've learned a little bit about this recently.
Yeah, it's the pagan religion of Iran.
It predates Christian. It predates Judaism.
It predates Judaism. Yeah.
It's one of the oldest.
It's ancient.
Yeah.
It's like Mesopotamian, I think, or
it's like around that time. Like the Persian Empire was like a couple thousand years, and they like conquered Babylon. They conquered they had, they were neighbors with Greece, so like there was that shit there. They went all the way to India. So there's a lot of like that whole region with Iran being the center is like where all of those ideas were.
I fuck with Zoroastrianism. It's cool.
It's actually still a huge religion.
It's not as huge as it would be.
But
so anyone in Iran who's
that old, you would think that that's an ancient religion. But it's still pretty pretty big.
Not comparatively to something like Christianity,
No.
Judaism, or Islam.
Right,
but you're saying
But when
it
you're
has a
talking
lot of followers,
about,
though.
yeah, like, you
How
know,
ancient it is.
yeah, you're talking about one of the first religions ever, and people are still, you know, there's nobody that's really, that I know of, that's really practicing, like,
So most of
the
the
Egyptian
Zoroastrians
religions.
were
from,
like,
you know,
they fled to India. And so they're considered Parsis, they're Persians who are Zoroastrian, live in India. And Freddie Mercury was one of them.
you know, I think I heard that not too long
So
ago.
you probably know a lot more about it, but I just my very limited understanding is that you kind of have like there's a good force and a bad force, and the good force like created the physical world to let the bad one in, knowing that he's gonna fuck it up, but he's gonna try and teach him to be good. So there's like a messiah figure that's gonna come along, and basically give evil a hug, like give this evil god a hug, and like teach him to be a spirit of light. So it's like an eternal battle between yin and yang until one comes along and convinces yang to just be yin.
You know, like the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, that's Zoroastrian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know too much about it, again, because I'm Jewish, but...
I don't know much about it either.
We hung on to our religion. We withered the colonization.
Are your parents Orthodox Jews?
No, not at all. What's crazy to me, though, is that Iran pre-Islam, women in Iran pre-Islam had more rights than women in ancient Greece, their neighbors. Women in ancient Greece could not participate in democracy. They did not have a vote.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whereas women in ancient Persia were fucking queens and commanders of armies and businesswomen who had male employees and doctors. So that was all fucked up by Muhammad and his armies and Islam. So I'm a little bit biased.
I mean, I have no dog in this race, and I'm a little bit biased as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know.
I'm a big believer in liberty and freedom,
Yeah.
and I have this toxic trait where I like to see people that try and put control on other people,
Put in their place.
put in their place.
It's coming.
Yeah.
For the first time, a lot of Iranians have hope. You know, the last big protests were in 2020, there was 2019, and then before that in 2009. Every time they, just shoot a bunch of people and people eventually give up. But I don't know if people are going to give up this time, which is sad because a lot more people are going to die.
You mind if I spark this up?
Go for it. But there's
Alice, we got
oh yeah, we're sponsored by Coast Smokes.
Coast Smokes.
Get your Coast Smokes.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Yeah. They recently, bombed this prison.
Having trouble.
Evin prison in Iran. It's the highest maximum security prison in Iran, and it's where they send all of the political prisoners. So if an athlete, performs without her hijab, like a rock climber just did in Korea, they'll arrest her and send her there, like they just did. If a musician writes a song that they don't like, they'll send him there. If an author writes a book that they don't like, they send him there. So there's a wing of the prison called the university, where all the intellectuals are.
Wow. That's what you were telling me about before we started, right?
Yeah, so there was a fire. We don't really know what exactly happened because it's very hard to get information out of Iran because no foreign reporters are allowed. They've never been allowed. Only once in 2009 they were allowed. But we have accounts of an explosion and gunfire and fire.
Okay, so we don't really have any idea what's going on in there, but
I'm assuming that they bombed the prison and shot a bunch of prisoners because they guess they realized shooting people wasn't gonna work, so they shot all the prisoners. It's unclear how many of them, but
Anytime a government, or any amount of people or a force, especially a government, goes to the extremes of killing even one citizen, it's expected that they go to the extremes of
Tiananmen Square shit.
killing many.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, I couldn't believe it. Okay, and
It's just a numbers game at that point if you're willing to kill.
Well, they're doing all this to prove that they didn't kill Mahsa Amini, which is the funny part.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that truth and justice will win
Prevail.
at the end of the day. I've never been to Iran, and I've always felt like part of me was missing because that's where all my ancestors are from. That's where my parents were born. And I've never been allowed to go there. Like, my parents and most Jewish Persians that I know are so terrified of ever even, like, saying anything, posting something on Facebook against the government of Iran, because there's spies everywhere, and they did try to kill an exiled activist recently.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They sent an assassin to her house, but she wasn't there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think the regime's days are numbered. And I think that one day in my lifetime I'll be allowed to go there and not worry about the government killing me for showing my hair.
I hope you do a show there one day.
Yeah.
That's my dream.
You just
That's my
fucking
fucking
rock
dream.
out.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just gonna manifest that right now.
Yeah. It's just an argument of people's will. So if you can get the number, we could see that change in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I hope so.
We've seen several changes that have happened.
Allah
I
willing.
know I have.
Yeah, praise Allah.
There's this movement to de-Arabize the Persian language because Old Persian and Middle Persian and New Persian and now the current Persian has more Arab words in it than ever.
Wow.
People are trying to reclaim their identities, sort of. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I don't know if this is helpful to anyone else because I don't play Minecraft. But there is a Minecraft server called the Uncensored Library. And it is a place where reporters will go and dump news files and things like that so that they can get it out past their government's news sources. So I don't know if there's going to be anything about that there.
That's cool.
But if you are into that kind of stuff and you find your way there, there may be some information.
Well, Alice, if you're not into Minecraft, you already know, your little brother or your older brother or somebody.
My little brother definitely used to play
cousin,
Minecraft.
be like, hey, let me hop on there real quick.
Yeah,
for sure.
But hey,
He
shout
says
out
it's called
to,
the Uncensored Library.
Yep, the Uncensored
That's really cool.
Library.
Shout out to some tech freedom right there.
Yeah. So Elon Musk with Starlink actually helped a lot of Iran get internet access after the government shut it down, and Congress signed a thing.
Shout out to Elon.
Lifting sanctions for that purpose, which is a big thing.
Wow.
Yeah, but I know you can also host a VPN, like a thing, to let people if you know someone in Iran, you can sign up to pay for their internet.
Oh,
cool.
That's cool.
Going through a VPN because
do you have to know somebody?
I think so.
So you probably have to be specifically requesting if you knew somebody there, and then you had their info because you would be proxying for them.
Yeah. You can set up a proxy server for them to help them get info out.
It's they're trying to. The rest of the world is trying to cut off any kind of support and help to that area. And it's everyone's in on it. It's and then we
The thing is,
Ukraine,
wouldn't it be in our interest to have a democratic country in the Middle East that we could actually negotiate with?
Well, the idea being
that would be nice, but we do negotiate with them.
When you tell just a single
just
person
under the table,
unable to really do much, that's not the idea of, you know, doing nothing as compliance. But when you're in a position of a government, you know, a world power, and you have the kind of influence you do, and you don't actively influence this kind of stuff, then it's the same as being compliant.
What
And
I
that's
want to
what
know.
upsets me with the, you know, nonstop with
Well,
our
it's
our
not just that, but
government.
like media suppression. So you're actively
Yeah, what I want to know is why Donald Trump got his Twitter account removed for inciting an insurrection, but Ayatollah Khomeini, supreme leader,
Right.
has like 8 Twitter accounts. He has one in English, he has one in Spanish, he has one in Chinese, and he's allowed to spew bullshit like, I'm gonna delete Israel, which is shit that he actually tweets.
wow.
Why is he allowed to have a fucking Twitter?
That's an excellent question. Why does that happen? Money. The people that run our country do not have our interests at heart.
But if our own president gets deleted off Twitter, if our own president can get banned off of Twitter,
The presidents don't have any power. The presidents are just a figurehead.
As a puppet.
it's insane.
The whole world is
Kanye West is not allowed to say, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jews. Why is Ayatollah Khomeini allowed to say it?
Yeah, that is kind of.
Why is he allowed to say the exact same thing?
Supreme leader Ayatollah Khomeini,
Yeah.
who murders his own people,
Right.
He actually
shut
goes
them up
DEFCON 3 on
is
Jews.
allowed to have a Twitter.
When Kanye says it, everybody laughs at him and says, "What do you even mean, Kanye? It doesn't mean it. It's almost like a joke." But he gets banned. Yeah, Ayatollah actually has.
He
some
actually
power.
funds Hamas,
He
the
can-
terrorist
he
organization
can-
that kills Jewish
He
people.
he sends people to do that very thing.
Yeah.
Dude actively goes DEFCON.
Actively-
DEFCON 3.
DEFCON. Right. He actively is deleting
Yes.
Yeah.
Israel, like you said.
His own people. His own Muslim people who didn't wear the hijab tight enough.
It's oppression in any kind, and it's like, I think a big part of it is racism. It's like, you're racist if you speak against Islam.
No. I have tons of problems with Islam, just like I have problems with Christianity. And
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say that because
Yeah, I don't think that.
ideas
but
need to be criticized.
Right.
If your idea cannot be criticized, it's
Right.
not an idea, that's a cult.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's right. It's a giant cult. And
Pretty much all organized religions fall into that same category to me.
yeah,
You know.
well, they should, because they are.
Some of them just have more extremities.
The
and
key
some
word
of
there
them
is
have more power.
organized.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a
Yeah.
cult.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was taught that Jews question things and argue.
Yeah, they're Bible students. That's true.
So, like, I'm allowed to ask questions. In
Mhm.
Iran, you cannot ask questions.
The Bible is all about making the truth your own and figuring it out, and like not taking everyone's word for it. And that's like that does seem very parallel to just like accept what I say.
Mm,
This is how things are.
That's how it
Don't
is.
question anything.
because God said so.
So I mean, like, really, like this is one of the probably the most pressing issues that should be on anyone's mind. Is we have areas of the world where women are not looked at as humans; they're looked at as subhuman.
Actually looked at as subhuman.
And that's-
not just a small issue that I say small issues because what I hear about going on here
Comparatively
comparatively
much smaller.
are small issues. Are they important issues?
Yes.
Are they tragic situations? Yes. But in comparison, with the amount of tears I see shed and the amount of airtime and Twitter feed time and, you know, all of that given to these minor issues that we have here, these minor oppressions, you know, it still baffles me, and it actually pisses me off at the quote unquote activist over here that are completely silent about this.
Yeah.
Freedom is not free. I feel like a lot of my American friends forget just, how privileged we are. I'm reminded of it every day. Like music is something that I've always wanted to do my whole life. And I can't imagine what it would have been like to be a little girl in Iran told, like, no, you can't sing. Women are not allowed to do that. Only men can do that.
And that's like so many people's reality, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're told at the age of 7 that you need to cover your hair because the men are looking at you.
That's so...
It's legal to marry your daughter off at the age of 9.
God, wow.
Like, you have to cover your hair as a child because men, like...
Because men are sexualizing you?
You made a good point earlier, like, why would you not flip that around? It's like the only reason is because it's a patriarchy. Like, they control it. I guess if you were going back in time, it's like the reason is it's like that is because of dominance, of just violence. It's like, we are stronger than you.
It's power.
Yeah. So it's like, that's why it's like that. No other reason. No other reason. Is they can subjugate, so they will.
Yeah.
When I was reading about ancient Greece, most of the information historical that we have of ancient Persia is from the Greeks because they wrote it all down. So obviously there are times where the Greeks don't really paint the Persians in a very good light because they were always warring with each other. But there was Herodotus. He wrote that the men in Iran, or the men in Persia, are weak because their women are dominating them. The women are always nagging them and, like, bossing them around.
That's hot.
So it's just like, that's the effect of colonization. It's taking power away from strong, badass warrior women. That's what they were trying to do, and they've done it, and
they're scared.
The women are fucking over it. The women have fucking had
Ancient
it.
Persia sounds awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
I like to think about, like, what were my ancestors doing?
Probably, like, cutting people's heads off.
No, we're
and
Jews.
Screaming. Oh, that's right.
In Persia?
Yeah.
Probably just, like, baking...
Chilling.
Making
big chillin'.
rice and stuff.
Big chillin', big praising.
Maybe, like, writing poems and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we probably can wrap it up here, I think. I don't know what our time is at, but I think we pretty much covered all the basics. Was there anything else you want to talk about?
Do you have any other questions? Any questions about Iran?
So I think Zoroastrianism is fascinating, and I didn't know that was the native religion before Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like as far back as, I guess it would be, because that's ancient. So that's like probably sitting there a long time.
Yeah,
before.
It's before Judaism.
So so they probably were Zoroastrianism before, up until the point that Islam came in, I would assume.
Persia was mainly Zoroastrianism, but Jews lived there, Christians lived there, like, there were Middle Eastern Christians. Jews are indigenous to the Middle East.
So it stayed a popular thing, but there are other ideas that circulated. Okay.
Yeah, people were relatively chill before
So
Muhammad.
Was Muhammad a hostile takeover in Persia?
He hostilely took over the entire Middle East and parts of Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's why there's Muslims.
So it was kind of just like you don't
Mongolia,
have a choice.
Right.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they did a crusade on the world, but for Islam.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a bunch of assholes to me.
It's happened.
Well, yeah,
with
we
a
call
couple
the Christians who were
it's
assholes.
kinda like, yeah,
Who
they
did it
did
too.
that. And like she was saying, Genghis Khan,
Brutal warrior. I think, what is it, like 2% of the world now is related to Genghis Khan because he raped so many
Wow.
women.
Yeah. And
Holy shit.
Yeah, and they were a Mongolian, weren't they?
Mongolia,
Mongolian beef.
Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, parts of Russia.
Yeah, but I mean, he was Mongolian. They were,
Oh, yeah.
like, So I don't know what their religion would have been, but that wasn't really a religion.
He was Muslim.
Were they Muslim?
I'm pretty sure Genghis Khan was a mercenary for Muhammad.
No
Oh,
kidding.
interesting.
I'm gonna check. I'm gonna double check.
Are you good with geography? Like you said,
'Cause
so
I would
Afghanistan
assume-
is left.
Afghanistan is east of Iran.
So what other nations border Iran?
Tajikistan. I'm pretty sure Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan do also. We share a border with Russia. Iraq. What else?
The only reason this conflict on the scale can continue like this is because it would be propped up and made that way.
Turkmenistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, and Armenia, and Pakistan.
Those all the bordering nations.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. What was your question?
I don't remember. What did I just say?
Ali, well, you were just wondering. You were actually looking up whether or not
Oh, Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan was.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
So it says that he was not.
I was gonna say his.
He was just tolerant of other religions in general, but he practiced Tangrism or shamanism.
I was gonna say it was probably a tribal religion from the area.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Because China, from what I understand back then, before things like Taoism, Confucianism, and Buddhism swept through it, it was very just, very tribal. The religions were kind of, related in some way, but not really documented.
So the type of Islam that we see now is that let's say in Iran, is that the type of Islam that has existed, or is this a more radical version, or is this basically the same type of Islam that conducted the Crusades, and you've had other people who've become more progressive, and this is just hard line, or is this a more radical version of something else?
I'm pretty sure that most of the governments that Iran is considered one of the worst in terms of Sharia law, but you have the Taliban, you have Hamas, Lebanon's not great, Syria's not great, Turkey's okay, Saudi Arabia, women just got to drive, so that's something, but it's not great for most Muslims in Muslim
I know that some
countries.
of the major countries over, like Saudi Arabia, things like that, you do have power struggles, but when you get in the smaller countries, where governments get installed or removed all the time and all these power vacuums happen, then it's a lot easier for some, basically, it's larger than a gang, but it's a religious tribe to take over, and that's basically what it is, and that's what a lot of these things we hear about, we're like, is that a country, is that a this, and it's, well, there's a big mass of people that want power, and the minute they've got enough guns and enough backing, and a lot of times there might be somebody else backing them that is unknown, because that's for when you have a country and that large of an area that has resource, there's a lot of reasons that people want to have some kind of control over it. And if they can't control it, they need to know or be cool with the dudes who can control it.
It's even Muslims versus other Muslims, because Iran is Shia. Most of the rest of the Muslim world is Sunni. So Saudi Arabia fucking hates Iran because they're Shia. So even there, it's the religion is a big source of all of the problems.
Yeah.
As it usually is.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a really frustrating thing to me is here you'll have people be like, well, it's not their religion. That's not why they do that. It's like, it absolutely is why they do that. They will tell you that that's why they're doing this, is for their God. And it's like, who are you to tell them that? Well, no, it's because America has mistreated them. And it's like, America has
These are some of the
created the situations where they're upset. And it's like, no, they're mad because we're infidels.
Right.
Yeah, did you ever read, like, the ISIS Charter? Some really fascinating theories in there. The way they view the world, it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, and you gotta kill infidels, and then you get 72 virgins, and we have to make the world Muslim, because otherwise it's gonna burn.
Cool story, bro.
I think I'd rather watch it burn.
Yeah.
I think they're what's making it burn.
Yeah, I think,
The promise of 72 virgins.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
I hope,
weird,
yeah, it's like, why would I want that?
When Ayatollah
in the
Khomeini
afterlife
goes to hell,
kind of
he gets the worst prostitutes with all the diseases in hell. I hope he gets 0 virgins.
I hope there's hell just
I
for
hope
him.
he gets the dirtiest whores.
Well, actually, I heard a comedian talking about that. He was ragging on that whole idea. He goes, what is this bullshit about 72 virgins? What do they know? He goes, you give me one cheap hooker from Vegas, man, and she got, you know.
It's worth at least like 73.
Yeah, I mean, what do virgins know?
Well, with a patriarchal society and religion, it begs the question, do women even go to heaven? Are there women in heaven for them?
Right.
And on a real note...
And then you're putting it already, it's only speaking to men.
And on a real note,
right.
They probably, like,
virgins.
they seem, like, 9-year-old virgins seem to be their
dudes,
thing.
like.
So, 9-year-old virgins seem to be their thing also.
Yeah, it is.
Like, that's kind of what they're into. So it doesn't make any sense
So
to
in
me,
Iran,
but...
it's against Sharia law to kill a virgin in Iran. So what they'll do is they'll rape them and then they'll kill them. So they're not virgins anymore.
I've heard that. Because
Very
it's
tolerant society.
Because women are not viewed as being human, or then rape to them is not even really...
No, you're doing her a favor.
Right. You're not really
before you
raping
kill her.
them. And according to their view on it.
Wow.
You know.
That's really bleak. I didn't know that.
Ass backwards.
And it's allowed to perpetrate for tolerance sake, I guess.
It's not tolerance. Letting those women suffer is not tolerance.
It's like, let's tolerate evil. Like, let's not do that. Let's not tolerate that at all in any way, shape, or form. It's not only not okay in my immediate surroundings, but it's not okay. I'm not okay existing here knowing that exists.
Well, sunlight is, the best disinfectant. And that's the whole idea, is to bring it out of the dark into the light so everybody sees it.
If anyone has any questions about Iran, you could DM me.
Yeah. Jasmine knows a lot about this stuff.
I don't know everything, but...
I literally didn't know about any of this situation, but you've been really vocal about Mahsa Amini and the situation, and I thank you for that, because you're the only one I see doing that, shining light on the situation. And like, I know it's obviously hits close to home and it's a personal thing for you, but it's much deeper than that. And like I know you would stand up for the other issues as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, hit up Jasmine if you have any questions. Do you have any shows coming up?
Ooh, I'm playing this Friday, an acoustic set. I don't know if this will be out then, but I'm playing...
This will be out... Okay, this will be out Friday.
Nashville Halloween Spooktacular at the Cobra, Saturday the 29th. Sheeness the Absurd, Electric Python, I think, and Black Moon Mother.
That's going to be a really good show. Good lineup. Alice, we'll see you next week. Bye.